What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Chatter in the Swamp. I'm your host, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and we're back for week two of some SwampBats baseball. The SwampBats are off to an exciting start. Now, it's not really much of a start anymore, as we're 2 weeks in, and they're at 8-1, an 8-game win streak after a really disappointing Game 1 loss on opening day of the season, but since then have yet to lose a game. And this past week has really been an exciting one. I mean, the week 1, obviously, when the Bats started to get off to a good win streak, they were just winning the games, but they really just didn't pull away. This time, in this past week, they were really trailing early on, but they've had such exciting comeback wins, especially a few nights ago back on Friday night. They had a walk-off win where they were down by two. It was 7-5 going into the bottom of the ninth. And just like that, after a few bloops, some walks, the Swamp Pats just came rallying back, and a walk-off hit by pitch, something you don't see every day, happened that Friday night. And that was an exciting one going into the Sunday's game, and the SwampBats just did not have it offensively early on against the Vermont Mountaineers on the road. And soon enough, in the top of the eighth inning, actually, the SwampBats were just 4 outs away from getting no hitted. Yeah, they did not get a hit throughout the first 8 innings. But once when they were 4 outs away from getting no hitted, Michael O'Brien with 2 outs shot a little blooper over the third baseman's head into left field for the first hit of the game for the Swamp Bats. And after that, a few other runners got on, and before you know it, it led up to Nick Romano just absolutely towering blast to right field. It was electric, even for the Mountaineers fans. Being in the press box during that, I wasn't calling the game, but everyone was just astonished. And all the Mountaineers press box people really just all they could do is be astounded. And Nick Romano sent this absolute no doubt grand slam over the right field wall to give the Swamp Bats the lead 4-1 in the eighth inning. And after that, the Mountaineers were just they could not bounce back from that. And it was very impressive to watch. And even though the Swamp Bats had their offensive woes, the pitching has been fantastic. And it's really started with their starting pitching, which leads me into our first segment. So, the Swamp Bat of the Week. Yes, this week it's going to go to Michael O'Brien, the center fielder from Mississippi State. Got his batting average over 400 this past week. He's done a spectacular job. Last week we had Zach Thompson as the player of the week. He actually won NECBL player of the week. But this week, the Swamp Bat player of the week is Michael O'Brien. And with the 400 batting average on the season now, he's tallied 10 hits, and 4 of those have been extra base hits, and that includes back on June 11th, where he tallied 2 of those extra base hits with a bases clearing triple to give the Swamp Bats the lead. Then his next at bat hit a moonshot home run. So that put his RBI totals up to this point of the season now at 7. He's also been working great at bats with 4 walks and a hit by pitch. He's done a great job solidifying his role at the top of that lineup for the Swamp Bats. Brian being a New Orleans guy, had the chance to ask him what that transition like is going from New Orleans up here to New England, New Hampshire of all places, and also him getting a late start to the season. I asked him what it was like coming here late and getting on a win streak like they are on. So here's what he had to say.
Well, I'll tell you, the weather up here is a lot better than down in New Orleans. It's been a transition to say the least. All the mountains, all the roads. I'm still getting used to the roads, but no, it's awesome up here. The people are great. The atmosphere is incredible, and I'm happy to be here. Like when I got here, I just immediately felt the vibe. These guys are incredible. We got a special group, and we're just ready to go out and compete every single day. So we have a special team, and I'm excited for the rest of the summer.
There is definitely a vibe with this team, and especially during these away games. And Michael O'Brien, one of the very many on the bus that are very vocal, especially playing games on the bus, coming from games, going home, and these guys really get together and form a bond. And I'm thankful that I have a chance to be around these guys and really take that in as this NECBL, this summer ball league, where these guys are all coming together and just meeting each other. When they do get to meet each other, they form a special bond, and you see a team like this really prosper from it. Now, going back to the starting pitching from this past week, the SwampBats has done a spectacular job, especially with this bullpen maintaining the leads as well. But the starting pitching, like what I was saying earlier, this past week, done a great job. And back on Tuesday, Alex Walsh was on the mound for the Swamp Bats, and he put up 4 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts. And the next day against North Adams, Nick Pavia was on the mound against a bunch of his former teammates. He had 5 innings and 9 strikeouts, only allowing 1 run. Then Thursday comes around, and Kyle Peters was on the mound in Maine, and he put up 5 innings with 5 strikeouts. No earned run. But Kyle Peters, the most important part of that, he had an immaculate inning in the second of that game. So 9 pitches, 9 strikes, sat down 3 Mainers in the second inning of that game. And this past Sunday, we had David Rodriguez on the mound. He started the game for the Swamp Bats and had 3 innings, 5 strikeouts, and only allowing the 1 run that Vermont scored in that game. So the Swamp Bats pitching coming through here, and that's also been a big part of why they really are still on this tear. And the offense has been coming through late, and they've been keeping the opposing players on their toes. And speaking of opposing players, that's where I'm going to get to here. I had a chance before North Adams games to talk to a former Swamp Bat and a member of the North Adams pitching staff. Let's see what he had to say. What's up, Tommy?
What's up,
I'm here with
Fitz?
Tommy Sullivan of the North Adams SteepleCats.
Yes.
What's it like coming back home to, we can say Keene's your home. You played here 2 years ago. What's it like coming back here?
Man, it's special. It's a special place. Tons of fun here, man. I remember I came in here not really knowing too much about Keene and stuff like that, and then I came here and I was packed out crowd, and I was like, holy. And ever since then, it's just like been missing it a little bit, but it's all right.
Hey, how did that atmosphere really play to your advantage on the mound? If you think it did.
Dude, it was awesome. Like I remember the 4th of July night. It was like 5,000 fans, fireworks after the game. And I threw in that game. I was like, I don't think I'll ever throw in front of that many people in my life. And it was just cool. Like everyone came up to you. Like you get treated like celebrity here, if I could say it. Like
that's cool.
Went to Dunkin' Donuts, like a Keene SwampBats, or something like that. They're like, "Oh, do you play?" Which was cool.
It's like a big town, but like a small community, where everyone knows what's going on, especially with the Keene SwampBats, and that's really cool that you got to play in front of them.
Exactly.
It really is. And coming back here, like you just got here, I know that we're like a few minutes in. Do you see any familiar faces or anything?
Oh, Coach McKenna. I remember talking to Watterson, the GM. Came to a game during the season. I was catching up with him. Just like Bangs, obviously. There's a couple Franco Pierce guys here, so obviously I'll see them and catch up with them. You know how it goes. Every year it's different people, so unless it's like the coaches or something, but that's about it. Yeah.
That's cool, man. And speaking of Franco and Pierce guys, I mean, I know you got a few on your team. What's it like rejoicing with them, even though they might be going other places? What's it like playing with these guys?
Dude, it's awesome, man. Me, Savati, Nolan living in the same host house. We got a great host dad.
He's a character?
Oh man, we call him Birdman.
Birdman.
And he is something, man. 67 years old. He's loving life.
That's
simple
good.
ways to put it, but living with those guys, like not many guys can say they get to play with 4 of their Franco Pierce teammates during summer ball. So very grateful for that, and and also seeing the guys from Keene and stuff like that. We got for Franco Pierce, we got 7 guys in the NECBL. So
that's crazy.
So like no matter where we go, we're gonna see a couple of our teammates go be able to catch up with them.
You have any extra fire under you when you go against a team that has some Frankie P guys?
I wanna show them what's up, dude. You know, I gotta show them that still got it, and like want them to be able to say like that's my teammate and be proud.
Right.
So exactly.
Do you have any prior experience living with the guys you live with now in Salvati and DeAndre?
Yeah, Salvati was my roommate my freshman year and sophomore year. And then I moved down to LV. I live with like Drew, who plays for Newport. But the other guys, Matt Lee and Nolan, I've never lived with them. But they're great guys. I mean, you see them every single day in
Course,
practice.
yeah. For the past, what, like 7 months?
Yeah, dude, it's
Crazy.
I know. They'll probably get sick of me eventually.
Well, across the over in the other dugout for our Keene SwampBats, we have Stephen Banks, a pitching coach now for the SwampBats, no longer a player.
Yeah.
What did you see out of him, like, when you were playing with him that brought out his coaching aspect?
Man, the kid just loves ball, man. It'll be a little bit different maybe calling him Coach Bangs now, but...
Coach Banks.
But it'll be sweet, dude. I mean, he knows he loves ball, so like what he knows, he'll make sure to tell you, and knows a lot. So
Right.
He'll be a great coach.
Yesterday, he threw a shutout against the Newport.
Exactly.
The pitching staff threw a shutout against the Newport Gulls. So maybe what he's doing.
Yeah, dude.
You should have saw him before the game. He was like out on. It was a rainy day.
Yeah.
He was out on the mound in the field. You know how much he loves his field work,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
He was pounding
Oh
away
my
on that
goodness.
mound the whole game.
Oh
It was
my God,
crazy.
We'll miss that at Pierce, man.
Yeah.
Guy took control of that mound, dude. That was his mound.
I remember during the FPs, he got an award for that, didn't he? Like, didn't he? Like, one of
Yeah,
the
I
coaching
think he
awards
did. I
for
think he
like
did.
field maintenance. So you should have seen him yesterday before that game. He was going to town on it, and then the game got rain delayed in the middle of it aneway.
Oh,
But he did that work, and I know he's proud of it.
Yeah, man.
He's over there doing his thing. But you're from Plymouth, Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
How did that mold you in becoming a ball player back in the early days?
Man, ball in Plymouth is a big deal. We got a bunch of guys that play in college. One of my best friends, Adam Barr, played for Newport last year. He's going to be going to Katuitt. Grew up playing ball with him. There's this kid, Nico Brini from UConn, kid I grew up playing ball with. He's playing for Harwich in the Cape Cod League. And then, who else? It's just really big, dude. A lot of guys go and play college. One of my best friends, Kyle Keating, playing at Assumption. Get to see him during the year.
Oh, that's cool.
During the spring. So it's always good to catch up with those guys. And just being around a lot of ball players, you kind of just want to try to step up each other and try to be a little bit better than them. But it's a baseball town, and you know, it's really made me into the person I am today.
Awesome. What point did you realize early on in your career when you're growing up that you really wanted to take baseball seriously and pursue it for the future?
Man, I always loved ball. I didn't think I could play until like maybe sophomore or junior year, once I started getting college interest. And my AU coaches, who were from Plymouth, both went to Franklin Pierce and got drafted. And they kind of like persuaded me to go to Pierce. Like I had a couple other places in the NA10 and then a couple D1s, but like at the end of the day, they're like, if you want to get drafted or signed or anything like that, like Pierce is the place to go to, and kind of persuaded me, and I haven't looked back since.
Right, so I'm like 30 minutes down the road from here, from Keene.
Yeah, man.
Being from Franklin Pierce, you know, pitching through the spring and then now going to summer ball. What's the adjustment like going from college to summer ball now?
So obviously, like, the springtime's time to be really serious and really get to the goals that you want to be, win a regional, try to win a super regional, try to get to the World Series. And over those times, you kind of figure out what your flaws are. So you get a nice, I know I had like a week off before I came here, so I really focused on maybe on my cutter, and then really figuring out my two seam between like the horizontal and the vertical. And now with like summer ball, with the TrackMans available, you kind of look at your things, see what you worked on during those weeks, and kind of just try to put everything together. For me, also, I walked a lot of guys at Pierce. I'm really trying to lower the walks, and so that's something I'm really trying to look out for. What else? Just also velo, game velo would be nice, but you know, I think my stuff plays to the point where I don't really need to gain a lot of velo.
You got the stuff.
Got the stuff, but at the end of the day, just trying to be a better pitcher, not a thrower.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, obviously, it's a very higher level in the NECBL, so you know you're playing Division I talent and Division II talent, not just at Franklin Pierce Division II talent. And you were just in the Super Regionals just only a few weeks ago, so your season ended late, and then you go into some NECBL play. Was there any delay going into the North Adams SteepleCats?
Yeah, there was like, I wasn't able to get here right away because Super Regionals, and obviously I'd much rather be in Super Regionals than being here right away. But that ended in a heartbreaker, unfortunately. But yeah, it's definitely different. Like you'd be up there going to warm up or something like that. You're going in to like face a hitter or something, and you hear like Notre Dame or like Texas.
You're in their schools, definitely. Like,
yeah,
but then you get them out, and then you're like, I got that,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. And then you're like, you never heard of this D2 guy, and like getting them out and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, ball. If you play ball and you're in this league, you know, you're all in the same skill level and everything like that. And you're here for a reason.
Exactly.
And when you hear those big schools, you're like, okay, I got to dial in, make sure I make a good pitch here, and can't leave it down the middle because they're out of Texas for a reason, you know?
Right. As the previous question was going by, these guys were chirping you. What's this? You know, you got here late, obviously. What's this chemistry like? You know, obviously in the NECBL, there's a lot of new faces you see. What's the chemistry like going into the season?
So that kid that was chirping me went to Lemoyne, and it's one of Kyle's like best friends.
Oh, really?
So like we've been getting along pretty well, and you know, it's just like spring ball with your boys and stuff like that. You guys throw little chirps at each other, or like trying to make each other laugh. And dude, it's a good group of guys. You know, no one's really like, you don't look at anyone and be like, oh, that guy's mean or something like that. Like, everyone's sweet here and just wants to have a good time and play ball just like the rest of us.
So you've been in the NECBL for the past 3 years now?
This
This is your third year in the NECBL?
Yeah. Last year, I didn't really play the whole season. I missed the spring season and most of the summer because of TJ. But I played for North Shore, and then the year before that I played for Keene. And I mean, without a doubt, Keene was a good spot. So yeah, man, it's third year here. Hopefully, kind of put myself a good season together and kind of figure it out from there.
And that redshirt year, you know, you had, was it because of Tommy John?
Yeah.
So how did that make you grow as a player and recovering from that as well?
That's a good one. It's like my freshman year, I was kind of like to myself, like I was kind of like, everyone's older than you, with a lot of different personalities coming at you so quickly, coming from high school where you just knew these kids growing up, and now you're meeting guys from all over the world at Franklin Pierce, and it's just during that time, during my freshman year, I was kind of in my shell a little bit. Really hung out with just my roommates and like all the freshmen, and then my sophomore year came around, and then I had TJ, and so baseball wasn't really, I wasn't playing ball because I was on a XL Grays, and so I really just like really enjoyed the time with my boys. I got really close to a couple of the guys, Kyle Roach.
Kyle Roach.
Reynolds.
He's on the Angels now, in the Angels organization now. Good for Kyle Roach.
And I got really close with those guys, and it really made me a better person at the end of the day, and I'm very grateful. Even in tough times, you know, you try to find the positives in them, and
Right, and you know, you're like you said, you've been in this league for 3 years now. Is there any players that you play against in college now that are on your team, or anyone the other way around? Are you on the team with anyone else you played against in college?
Yeah, there's this kid from Lemoyne that we played our freshman year before they went to D1. He's on this team. There's actually 2 kids who played at Lemoyne. I think most of these guys are D1 guys.
Oh yeah, and it's impressive.
Yeah, and obviously I played with all the Franklin Pierce guys.
Yeah.
Who else? That's really about it, really. I played with one guy. I played with in North Shore last year. Eli, he's a good kid. But not a lot of these guys I don't really know. Yeah. There was one Snoop kid who was there for a year, but he ended up transferring out. But that's about it, really.
Well, it's nice to see that, and you know, you're getting closer to a team. So we're still early on in the NECBL season in the summer league, but is there any of these guys you really want to face on your own team? Who's that one guy that you're like, I want to face him?
Man, there's a couple guys. There's this kid, Bobby. He's a big, tall, strong kid. Hit a homer the other night. I'd like to face against him. Also, obviously, all the Pierce guys. So I mean, no one I would love to face him. That's about it. I mean, the rest of the guys, I mean, pretty good. So
who's winning that battle, you think? You or Nolan DeAndre?
So me and Nolan had a little joke. Who was to say get 10 ABs against each other, who would hit a homer first, me pitching against him or him pitching against me.
Can you put it over? You think you can put it over?
And
no one's a first baseman.
I feel like you
and a
gotta
catcher.
have confidence in yourself, but the way no one hits homers, I think he might have me there.
And he's also has that catching experience, so
Yeah.
he can throw some bullets.
Yeah, I know he can.
You think he can put it
I
by you?
remember seeing him on a radar, so I was doing some like side work on with a gun, and this kid just came up there and pulled down like 87. I was just like, wow, all right. Say if you go into him now, it'd probably be like 88, 87. And I don't know, without touching a bat for 2 years, I don't know if I'd be catching up to that.
Well, yeah, 2 years. It's been 2 years since you touched the bat.
Or 3 years because of high school. I hit in high school, so.
All right, at least you hit in high school. You know, maybe
Yeah.
you might have some stuff. A lot of guys
Maybe.
don't hit in high school,
You
so.
know, maybe I'll catch one. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, how would you attack Nolan though? What would be
How would
your
I
first?
throw Nolan?
What would be your first pitch?
I mean, yeah, I feel like you got to go. I got to challenge him. I'll go first pitch fastball, hopefully get a strike, and then probably go. Depending on how I'm feeling, probably either go slider or change up, and then try to get him to chase there. Say if I missed it or something like that, then I'd probably go. Depending, say if I missed on that, then I'd probably go cutter to try to make it look like a fastball, maybe get one at the end of the bat. And then say I got 2 strikes there, I'll probably either go high fastball or curveball down.
I mean, that's a lot of pitches right there. And I got to commentate you in the previous couple of years. What's that pitch? I got a feel for that pitch arsenal, but for the audience, what's your pitch arsenal looking
So
like?
I throw the 2-seam. I normally only throw 2 seams.
That's the primary?
I'm a supernator, so I get around the ball.
Okay.
And so my 2-seam really plays a lot better compared to my 4-seam where I cut the 4-seam. And then I throw a sweeper, and then I throw the cutter. And my cutter is basically just a 4-seam and then twist the ball a little bit to the right where the horseshoe is, and kind of dig my fingers in and just throw like a 4-seam. It's usually like 80, 83, 84. And then I got my change-up. Change-ups usually. That's something I really tweaked with when I was home for a couple weeks, is that my change-up, because when I was throwing my change-up like 83, 84, and it's just too hard. And so I really tried throwing a kick change. It's not really for me. And then I just tried splitting my fingers a little bit more, putting it a little deeper in my hands. And it really helped me kind of take the velo off a little bit.
Nice.
And been really messing around with that. Threw that the other day.
Oh, so you do it in game?
Yeah, and it was working. It was playing. Obviously, it didn't go the way I like to. It's a tough break with the ball going over his head the other day. But other than that, like everything played. Had 3 Ks. You can't really complain about that.
Nice. And, you know, you said you touched the bat a few years ago. Back in high school, what other positions did you play that you were a position player?
I mean, I played basically everywhere growing up. Third base, shortstop, first base.
But the higher levels, like high school.
High school, I played a lot of first base because I was pitching a lot.
I
And
got
the
you.
coaches didn't really want me to
Running
throw
around.
too much
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But like during AAU and stuff like that, where I knew I'd be throwing, like say the next weekend or something, they would put me at third base.
Oh,
And,
okay.
it depends, like
Hot corners.
yeah, hot corners. I wasn't quick enough for the outfield. That's probably why I pitch now, but I was a good swinger. I could have went to a couple different schools to hit, but
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
All
I went to Assumption and AIC
Gotcha.
to go 2-way, and who knows what would have happened, say if I was to get there.
Mm.
Maybe they would have saw me, just made me a hitter, or they could have just made me a pitcher. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, what's a better feeling? Like striking out the side or hitting a home run?
Man. I don't know. I think it's hitting homer. I think it's hitting a homer, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, just catching the barrel, man, it's not really
It's a
much
good
better
feeling.
than that.
It really is, man. That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on here and being on the Keen SwampBats. Even though you used to be here as an
man.
opponent now, thanks for coming on Chatter in the Swamp, man.
Yeah,
I really
man.
appreciate
Thank you
your
for
time.
having me, bro.
Of course,
Thank you.
brother. Of course, and you know, it's been a month since we've seen each other, or so,
Yeah.
but we got to get after it again at some point.
Yeah, we will.
All right, man. Thank you for joining me.
All right, man. Thank you.
So that will do it for this week's Chatter in the Swamp. Once again, as a reminder, we post every Monday And this week's up and coming stuff is going to be very exciting as the SwampBats have two double headers this week. But with the rain coming in, we do not know for sure if they will resume action on Tuesday against the Mountaineers and up and coming games with more New England rain. So we'll see. But thanks for joining us here on Chatter in the Swamp. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and we'll see you next week.